In 24 hours, the so-called Doomsday mom and convicted killer Lori Vallow Daybell will be sentenced for the crime she committed here in Arizona. 2 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and one of those counts for the attempted killing of her niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux.
In a rare interview, he sat down with the I-Team's Erica Stapleton to talk about what it's like surviving Lori Vallow Daybell.
Well, Mark Troy, Brandon Boudreaux is the only living victim from these cases, or as he calls himself, a survivor. And after Lori Vallow Daybell was convicted for trying to kill him, he said he wanted to go back to anonymity, but then he changed his mind.
Do you think this is actually the end?
I have no idea. Hard to be surprised at this point in my life with all of the crazy stuff that's happened.
Brandon Boudreaux preparing to face Lori Vallow Daybell one more time. She'll be sentenced Friday for conspiring to kill Brandon, a plot that involved Lori's brother shooting at Brandon back in October 2019. The bullet narrowly missed his head.
Some days I'm doing great, and other days I'm not, and I think it's okay to not be okay.
Brandon used to be married to Lori's niece, and they were going through a divorce at the time of the shooting. Vallow Daybell represented herself at trial and got to question Brandon on the stand.
It's all the things you could imagine. It was uncomfortable. I didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't want to do it again. But it was the right thing to do in the time, and I would do it again every single time because it was what I should be doing.
Brandon was key in all of Lori's convictions, working with investigators for nearly 6 years on all the other murder cases. Vallow Daybell has already been sentenced to life in prison in Idaho for the murders of her children Tylee and JJ, and for her role in the death of Tammy Daybell, her current husband Chad Daybell's first wife. She was also convicted in Arizona for conspiring to kill her former husband Charles Vallow, who died in 2019. That sentencing will be Friday, too.
The side effect of going through something so crazy and having so many people get hurt and killed and, attempted murders is that, you don't know who you can trust.
At the core of the crimes, extreme doomsday religious beliefs, including Chad and Lori rating people light or dark and calling victims zombies before they died.
What was it like for you to uncover or learn about some of those beliefs?
Probably just like it is for everybody else. Shocking, weird, bizarre, doesn't really connect. It doesn't make sense to me personally. It's not something I would believe.
Chad Daybell was sentenced to death in Idaho, but not charged in Arizona. And Lori's brother, Alex Cox, died before charges were filed. Brandon's ex-wife, Melanie Pulowski, is also listed as a co-conspirator in the attempt to murder him, but she's never been charged.
Do you want to see the judicial process carry this out any further?
I don't want to talk about individual people in that process. I think that's not my job. My hope is that anyone who commits a crime, that we can use the judicial system we have to hold them accountable for their own good too. You can't really grow and become better if you're busy continuing to do terrible things.
Going forward, Brandon is working on a book to best explain all of this to his own minor children.
What was it like to navigate this with your children?
I tried to minimize it ever being something that we talked about. If you give too much time to that, you're going to miss out on some wonderful opportunities. I have beautiful children that are growing up, and they live beautiful lives, and you don't get a do-over.
He's also working with Lori's only living child, her son, Colby Ryan, on a podcast project and media company, Timber and Wings.
But tonight, I think that we're going to dive into something that's a little bit close to the heart.
Their goal.
Maybe I'll help other people out there who've gone through different traumas in their lives. Hopefully helping other people share their stories and us sharing ours in a positive way that helps people.
Mark Troy, we are expecting Brandon Boudreaux to speak at Lori Vallow Daybell's sentencing tomorrow. Obviously, a long path for him to get to this point.
Yeah, did he give you any inclination about what he wanted to say to her before she's shipped back to Idaho for the rest of her life?
He said he doesn't really like to think about her. Of course, this is the last time they're going to be, I don't want to say facing off, but the last time he will have to face her in a courtroom. Right. And I think he's really ready to move on. In our conversation that we had, he's really focused going forward. I did ask him something that came up the last time we saw him outside the courthouse after she had just been convicted of trying to kill him. He said, he was asked about forgiveness. He's a guy of faith. He talked a lot about that with me as well. And he said that it's going to be a process. So I said, where are you at in that process? And he said he thinks he's at a point where he's forgiven for some things, but of course forgiveness is complicated and not everything. It's going to be a process. But when I said, well, what are you trying to do? Get inside her head, think about it? And he said, I don't want to think about her. I try not to do that. Try to focus on my family, being a good dad, moving forward.
Probably the last time we'll see her in Arizona, you think?
Well, I would guess that she's, indicated in court she's tried to set the stage for appeals, but I don't think those are going to go anywhere. We don't know the timeline exactly yet of when she will be extradited back to Idaho, but that is the expectation, and she will be there serving her multiple life sentences in prison for the rest of her life. And by the way, we are not going to get a surprise sentence tomorrow from the judge. In Arizona, if you've been convicted of murder, conspiracy, it's going to be life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. That's the law, but obviously she's not going to have that possibility, and she won't serve any of her time in prison in Arizona.
Well, hopefully her victims here have some sense of justice, even though we already knew that she was going to be sentenced in Idaho and wouldn't be getting out.
Absolutely.
That the process played out here.
Yeah, and I think it is important for them to have that on paper. And Brandon, among many people we are expecting to hear from tomorrow, giving impact statements before the judge imposes those sentences for the 2 counts. So
busy day for
certainly
you
a busy
tomorrow.
day. It starts at 9 a.m. and we will have live coverage leading up to that and going forward on 12 News.
Phenomenal reporting all along the way here, Erica.
Thanks, Erica.
Appreciate it.